Good evening and welcome to League of Women Voters Presents. Tonight we're going to talk about the Diversity Awareness Partnership, and our guest is Nikki Magruder, and she's the regional manager of the DAP, as it's
Correct.
known. And I got to start by sending props to you and your colleagues for being the group winner of the Columbia Values Diversity Award for this year, last month. That was a very nice honor.
That's really exciting.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Nikki, I'd like you to talk a bit about your organization and your goals and how you pursue them.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm really excited about the Columbia region of the Diversity Awareness Partnership. DAP has been operating in St. Louis for 16 years, but we came to Columbia March of 2015. And it's the first region ever that we've branched out into. And what I love about this market is it was Columbia professionals that reached out to DAP and said, hey, we need you here. So there was already a following, if you will. There were a group of professionals from Veterans United and Shelter Insurance and the University, Commerce Bank that were meeting to talk through the need to bring forward issues around diversity and inclusion. And in their search for an organization that was already doing that work, they found DAP in St. Louis. And from what I understand, it was a long courtship to say yes, they definitely wanted to come because, again, it's the first one. So I'm just really excited about the opportunity to be in this role where we have 3 pillars of impact to the community: the training and the training that we do.
Training and education.
Training and education, there you go, that we do. And so we do it for, businesses and organizations, but also for the community. So with the help of our corporate partners, we're able to offer free programming to the community. So we'll go into organizations and do something formal like a Diversity 101, just to help them get the conversation started, because organizations know they want to start, but really don't know where. So that's where that conversation can get started. We talk through unconscious biases is another one where getting everyone to understand that we all have them. To just get through understanding them and how to move forward. So we do those formal programs, but then we'll go out in the community. So on February 21st, for instance, we're doing a lunch and learn, and our focus is on religion. So we want to talk about religion as in the lens of diversity, because many people, what I'm finding, especially in this role, is I'll say, hi, I'm Nikki Magruder with the Diversity Awareness Partnership, and everyone automatically thinks race.
Yeah.
It's only got to be about race. And that is a topic that we do address. And from my perspective, we do a good job at addressing it and getting people comfortable, or more comfortable, if you will, and talking about it. But Diversity Awareness Partnership is focusing not only on race, but religion and our LGBTQ community and disability. Disability is really not seen by many as an area of diversity, but it absolutely is. So we're educating the public, our community, on all the ways in which we're diverse, but then we also need to be inclusive. So it's talking through what that looks like.
So do you concentrate on workplace issues, or is it a more general focus?
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So if the need needs to be, if we have a need around the workplace issue, for example, we did a lunch and learn about demystifying disability in the workplace. So that was sent out to those that have a concern or questions around how to look at disability in the workplace. So that was specific. But then we'll do something like teaching our kids about diversity and inclusion. And that's for everyone. Like, how do we have these conversations with our children? So really, I'd like to say the Diversity Awareness Partnership is a resource for all.
Sure.
That's the goal.
I think it's very interesting that your corporate partners went looking for an organization to bring this sort of awareness and message to Columbia. Yeah. Have you worked with them on workplace issues?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I wonder if that was their motivation, or part of it anyway.
Well, maybe a little bit, but I say with pride, our corporate partners, Veterans United, Shelter Insurance, Commerce Bank, most recently Central Bank of Boone County, they're already doing great work. So I would say, especially VU, Shelter and Commerce, they have been spearheading this effort in this community. So they're already doing things for their employees to talk through the many areas of diversity and inclusion. So yes, they're taking on some of the DAP training and utilizing that for their employees, but they're also doing their own thing. And that's the goal, right? You want to have someone come in and get something started, but you should be able to carry the mantle forward within your organizations.
So how many, do you have any idea how many people you have brought the message to?
Oh, yes. So I just had this conversation today. When I look at, and I'm sure it's more than that, but when I look at the programs that we do, the trainings that we offer, our reach has been probably around 2,500 just in the attendees that have come since we opened up.
So it's a year and a half, basically? Or
We'll be 2 years old
in
next
June.
month, in March.
In March, okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So kind of walk us through a typical program, or if there is such a thing as a typical program.
Yeah. So unconscious bias is probably one of my favorites. And I say that because I love to be in a room full of attendees and say, you know what? Every single one of us has a bias in this room. If you have a brain, you have a bias. That's just the reality. Because when people hear that word bias, there's this negative connotation to it. So the initial response is like, no, not me. I couldn't possibly. But to understand that we all do, and it's just the way it is, it's the way we're wired, and our lived experiences have led to us having these unconscious biases, then people are able to understand it a little bit better, because those unconscious biases form everything we do, from the way we talk, to what we think, the things we say, the people we surround ourselves with. If we're looking at it from a workplace perspective, it feeds into those that we recruit, those that we hire, those that we even have lunch with. Those unconscious biases lay the foundation. So if we have an understanding that just because I have this bias, it doesn't make me a bad person, that is key. But it's understanding if that bias contributes to me treating someone else unfairly, and before being aware of it, that's one thing we didn't know. But once we know, you can't unknow, right?
Right.
So if you know and now you choose to look at things a little bit different or do things different because you want to be conscious about your efforts in doing better. So that's why I really love that program.
Yeah. So do you have your audience, I'll call them audience, but clientele, is there a lot of participation?
Oh, yeah.
And so how's the discussion go, and and when do you know when you've reached somebody?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. And for me, when I know I've reached someone is I can look in the beginning of those trainings, and I don't know how you feel, Jim, but I can remember being in corporate and it's like, okay, we're going to diversity training, and everyone has these mumbles and they're rolling their eyes and it's like, oh my God, another training.
Right.
So you get those looks. I'm looking in the audience like, okay, I'm here, like, let's get this over with. But by the end, when they're saying, Nikki, thank you, like I didn't think about this like that. And when you told that story or gave that example, or I talked with my colleague and I didn't realize this or I didn't realize that, and I get those emails after like, can I meet you for lunch? I just want to talk to you a little bit more, or can we do coffee or whatever? That's when I know. People are reflecting on what they've learned and they're really taking it in.
Yeah.
And that kind of keeps me motivated.
So how do you encourage people to speak honestly about their biases? How do you get them to that point where at first they're, oh no, and then they recognize and claim them?
You know, I pride myself on an approach that's disarming. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like they cannot be their authentic selves in my presence. I don't want anyone to feel that they can't disagree with me, because they can. But my goal is to have a dialogue where it's okay for us to disagree. I want to create an atmosphere that's a safe space, so that you can feel like, look, you know, you hear the cliche, the old saying rather, in Vegas, what's in Vegas stays in Vegas. In my training room, let's keep it here. So even after you leave here, when you've learned something that's crucial and critical, it's fine, but don't put names in it. So we don't want to go and be like, can you believe what Jim said?
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. So you can talk about your learnings, but keep it at high level. But I think it's because of the space that's created. I'm very, very clear about it being and intentional about making it a safe space.
How long are the sessions?
Anywhere from an hour, if we do like a lunch and learn, up to 3 hours if we're doing a full on unconscious bias.
That's a commitment.
That's a commitment,
Yeah,
yes.
good. Well, tell us about your other programs. I mean, that's training and education. Well, education, I guess, is and outreach. Would it be included in that? What kind of youth training?
Yes, so our other two pillars are the youth programs that you mentioned, and also different awareness initiatives. So I'm really excited that we have launched our first youth program in Columbia. So we have two. One is called the Explore program, and it was designed to expose youth of color to different opportunities, different industries. So when you see disparities for whatever reason, where we aren't seeing youth of color, people of color going into these industries, we've created this program where they can say, okay, companies and organizations can say, we want to offer youth an opportunity to just come and experience what we do. Give them an opportunity to see themselves somewhere where they might not have before. Right. A lot of times where we see those disparities is because there's a lack of exposure. So if we can eliminate that obstacle, then we can open up the minds of our youth and get them to see themselves past their current circumstances, even beyond. So we launched, with the help of the University of Missouri School of Business, the College of Business, and the School of Accountancy, the first Explore Accountancy program. So I reached out to all administrators and the principals and teachers and those who run youth programs and said, okay, this is an opportunity. Even though for many, I know for me anyway, accountancy did not sound like
exciting stuff.
Yes.
Huh?
But why not come and see? Don't count it out. Right. Because you don't know, or you know what you've heard, or what your perceptions are based on the things that you've seen on television, but you don't really know. So we had over 40 students of color from the Columbia area attend the first session of the program. They'll go back in April to finish up on the second half. They did, and they had a professional come in, a professional of color, to come in and just talk through what he does every day with this degree in accountancy, and the questions that the youth ask, like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize this, or I didn't realize that. That's what we're looking for. Right. Because then they'll pursue that path. Right. And so that's just one. So we do accountancy, we do Explore Finance with Edward Jones. In St. Louis, there are several industries where we go in and we do that with the youth. So that's one.
And that's all designed to expose them to job possibilities.
Absolutely.
Career possibilities.
Absolutely. We have a success story with one student who's actually about to graduate with his degree in accountancy, who, as he went through the Explore program, he also interned in the summer for PwC. So he's done that over the course of his high school career and now on into college. So when he graduates, now he's going to have a job at PwC. Right. And those are the stories that we're looking for. Those are the experiences.
Okay. And there's a program, give respect, get respect. That's an intriguing title.
It is intriguing, and that is the next youth program that I'm really excited about bringing. So we're working really hard to see when we could do that. And that's just an opportunity for an organization, a business or organization, to partner with the school district and their teachers and students. So it's catered to middle and high school students, to give them opportunities to come in, and they're over a period of 5 months doing half-day sessions. They'll go into the business and they'll have these intense conversations and activities with a diversity and inclusion focus. Mm-hmm. In St. Louis, they'll take a trip to the Holocaust Museum, mm-hmm. And it's just an opportunity for the kids to have dialogue.
Right. And that will start soon in Columbia?
Crossing our fingers.
Right.
We're working on it.
Okay, good. The training, education, youth programs, and awareness campaigns. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have we talked about the awareness campaigns?
We have not.
Okay.
So every year, and I'll be sure to bring you one, we put out an interfaith calendar. Mm-hmm. And I like to say for anyone, it's a great resource when you're planning events, when you're building relationships, just to look at this calendar. We do it for 18 months at a time, and see the different cultural observances. So especially like if you're a manager of an organization and you know the makeup of your department, we wouldn't want to schedule the staff retreat during Ramadan. Mm-hmm. So it's just being respectful. And growing in your knowledge about different cultures. So that's one of the awareness campaigns that we're really proud of.
Mm-hmm. Good. So, one of the cliches that we like to use about programs like yours is, how do you know when you move the needle? Mm. So how will you know, or you might already feel like you've moved the needle in Columbia. How will we know?
Well,
how do you measure?
How do you measure? What I can say, how I feel about moving the needle, I do feel like we've done some good work. And you mentioned the award this past January that we received, and I think that speaks to that a bit. But I never want to get so comfortable that I think, oh, well, we've done enough. We have so much work still to do. So I want to continuously be pushing to move the needle. Mm-hmm. But I think in the relationships that are being built and the organizations that are more open to doing training, doing programs, becoming corporate partners, that speaks to the moving of the needle.
Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. How do you recruit partners? How do you recruit people to participate in your programs? And you explained kind of the youth part of it. Mm-hmm. What about people like me? Mm-hmm.
So the great thing about the organization is we have our corporate partners. So we have an opportunity for businesses and organizations, even nonprofits, to come on board and partner with us. Mm-hmm. And our partners help us with their financial obligations, and then we offer benefits to being a partner, like training sessions or entry into events at no cost, sponsorship in the summit, sponsorship at the dinner. So we offer benefits to being a corporate partner. But I really, and I love our corporate partners, let me say that. What is really near and dear to my heart is the individuals like you that say, we want to support the organization too. Mm-hmm. So we have what we call the DAP Connect program. And that's really on an individual basis. There are different levels to being a Connect member and different benefits to that. But what that is not only support for the organization, but it's an individual commitment to say, I want to expand my personal and professional networks. I want to come to events and be in a room with people who I may not normally be in the room with. Mm-hmm. I want to put myself in situations where maybe I once was uncomfortable, and I might still be uncomfortable going to these programs initially, but the goal would be that you don't stay that way.
Right.
We have to give ourselves an opportunity to be uncomfortable for a minute, to move through,
It's really
to
the
get to
key,
where we
isn't
want to
it?
go.
You have to
Absolutely.
put your comfort level aside.
You really do.
So I know that we're here to talk about DAP, but I know that you're involved in some other activities that kind of complement maybe or with the same kind of goals, especially the city's equity programs. Can you speak a minute about your involvement there?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the city started their strategic plan facilitation in 3 neighborhoods that were identified, and those neighborhoods were identified because of crime statistics, poverty statistics. However they came up with these 3 neighborhoods that they said, we want to be intentional about going in and helping the residents to take back their neighborhoods so that they become places to live that we all would want to work and live and play in. And so they put out a request for proposals to bring on consultants that would help facilitate these meetings. And they had a prior consultant that had left the community. So there was this need that needed to be filled. So I'm so excited that I was approached by Carolyn Sullivan of New Chapter Coaching. And we had some really candid, honest conversations about why we would do this and why we felt it would be best to do it together. And so we've been going and we've started in the north neighborhood. So it's the north, the central, and the east. So we've started in the north neighborhood, and those neighbors are amazing. So just to come out and again, we've created this environment where we want them to feel like they can voice and be candid in their concerns, those things that they like or dislike about their neighborhood, the things that they feel that are lacking, that have contributed to why things are in these respective neighborhoods. So the neighbors we had, our latest one last night, we'll have another one in a couple of weeks. But the neighbors are doing great work in identifying their areas of concern, prioritizing them. Last night was all about moving from just talking about it to what are we going to act on.
Right. You know, I've been involved in some deliberative discussion, kind of dialogue kind of activities, and it's really important, I think, and sometimes hard to move from talk to action.
Yes.
Then that's good. That's great to hear that you're doing that.
Yeah.
I think one of the needs and desires that I heard from the meeting last night was a community center.
Right.
So,
and not just a place where the kids can go, that they can have access to, but also for community resources like a food pantry. It's so much. It can be a place where we're offering education. So in some way, shape, or form, they were very passionate about that's what this neighborhood needs.
So is the city then committed to trying to help them achieve what they think, what they need?
I can say that the city is committed to trying to help them
I'm
achieve
asking you
what
to
they
speak for the city.
From what I understand and what I see,
Yeah.
and that was very important to in the initial conversations I mentioned that Carolyn and I had, because we don't want to just talk.
Sure.
You know, people do a lot of talking, and you get tired of just talking about the same thing. And what's going to prevent us from being in the same position, having these same conversations 5 years from now?
Right.
The difference is going to be the action.
Right.
So we have biweekly meetings around the boardroom in City Hall, and we're talking about the plan and the goals and the intention and what the outcomes might look like, and if we're prepared for what those outcomes will look like. And I can't say, you know, we're under new administration and state and in our government. So we don't know what
Right.
resources will always be available, but I can say those people at the city are passionate about wanting to do the work that they've set out to do. So we're going to do our best work, and we're going to be beside them, helping them do their best work to make sure that these residents' work is not in vain.
Great. So what have we not talked about that you would like to highlight about DAP and about your work?
I would like to mention that we just kicked off our Diverse City Art Competition for our youth. So that's another one that I'm really excited about. They've been doing it in St. Louis for 19 years this year. There was another organization that was doing it prior to DAP taking it over. We started it last year, not really knowing what to expect. Will our kids grab onto this? It's an opportunity for them to express themselves through art and share with us how they feel about diversity and inclusion, how they see it in their community.
Right.
So we had great success last year. Commerce Bank sponsors it. They're sponsoring it again this year. We'll have our kids, the winners in Art in the Park.
Oh, great.
We did that last year. And
Now, that's in June,
really,
right? Yeah.
So the competition started February 1st. We'll take submissions through April 13th. And I ask everyone to please visit the website because there's information there about that program.
Good. And the website is?
It's www.dapstl.org.
Okay. And is that the best way to get in touch with you or other people in the organization?
Absolutely. So you will find it's stl.org, but there's a Columbia page there that tells all of the things that are going on in Columbia. One more thing, if I can mention,
Sure.
We're also launching our RISE program. And the RISE program is a leadership program for professionals of color. And that was one of the areas of concern for those professionals that were meeting in Columbia prior to reaching out to DAP because they looked across leadership in Columbia and these respective organizations and didn't see a lot of diversity. So we're addressing that. After almost 2 years, we finally got the program in place, and that launches actually next Thursday. And there's still opportunities to get involved, so I encourage everyone again to visit the website to find out more about that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you are not familiar with the DAP program, you should familiarize yourself and go to the website and check it out and get involved. Thank you, Nikki Magruder, for joining us,
Thank you.
and thank you for tuning in. Until next time, good night.